Hello again, Jay Collier here from the Photography Workshop Co. in Australia. Continuing on with our series of gear reviews, today I'm going to bring you some details on some products that I've been lucky enough to receive last year and have recently put through their paces in some extreme cold conditions in Antarctica. So stick around as I take you through two different models of gloves made for photographers from a company called Vallerret. Okay, so Vallerret Photography Gloves is what I'm going to talk about today, and it's two different pairs in particular. These ones here, which are the Vallerret Tiden, and these ones here, which are the Vallerret Markhof Series 3 or version 3. Now, between the two pairs, there are some specific differences that I'm going to take you through and where you would use one pair over another, as well as the real life examples of where I preferred one or the other in extreme cold conditions in Antarctica. So stick around till the end and we'll also reveal a special offer where you can pick up a pair of your Vallerret gloves at a discounted rate exclusively through the Photography Workshop Co. So what are Vallerret Photography Gloves? Why are these so special for photographers? Now, between the two pairs, I actually took both of them to Antarctica just recently in February and came out with my own conclusion based on my own experience using the equipment that I personally use. Now, out of the two gloves, the Tidens are the more deep winter glove that they would say on the website. So you'll see on the website itself is they will actually rate the gloves based on warmth factor and the conditions that you're using them in. So the deep winter glove in the Tiden you'll see is completely waterproof with leather uppers, the palms also leather, and it has an impregnated, like a silicone print that helps you grip onto your gear. They have the longer cuffs, also a zipper on the side that can unzip and you can place something like hand warmers or a lift pass or something like that if you're working in the snow for quick and easy access. On the inside of them, there's also a tripod key, which I will pull out for you in a moment, which is always there and handy when you need to adjust any tripod plates on your camera gear. The final feature that you'll see is on the thumb and side down here. It is actually a fleece-like material that you can use for cleaning filters and lenses as well. So feature set wise, very, very cool glove. Now I'm going to get on and talk about the Markov Mark II and how it differs from this glove. And then I'll give you a little bit more explanation about the two and how they performed for me personally on my recent tour through Antarctica. So stick around. Now, the difference between the Tidens and the Markhof version 3s is the Markhofs you'll see have a shorter cuff and a material cuff rather than the fully waterproof cuff that is longer. Obviously, if you're getting wind and sleet and snow, just helps stop that weather from entering inside of your jacket and inside of the glove. But the other difference you're going to see between the two is in how they perform. So I'll pop a pair on and you'll see that with the gloves themselves, they have the ability to keep your fingers enclosed and dry, But then also you can lift this up and pop your index finger and also your thumb out of the glove, and they're held in place by a series of small magnets. So those magnets there will catch and hold on and enable you to work freely with your camera gear, use your touch screens and access buttons, and then if it gets too cold, just a simple case of flipping it around and popping your fingers back inside to keep them toasty warm. Now the difference you'll see with the Markhof version 3s is that the channels that your fingers slip into aren't as deep as the Tindens, being that the Tindens are designed for deep winter use. So what you'll see is in the Markhof, there's always a permanent little slit there, and there's no sheath as such that your finger will flow into like you saw in the Tindens. Now I didn't find this a problem. I didn't find any weather or moisture or anything getting in between that gap when you do have your fingers inside. But if you do need more warmth, and this goes for both pair of gloves, you can actually wear a merino liner underneath, additional to the merino lining that's built into the glove. And we're going to talk about the benefits of merino in just a moment, so it helps explain why these gloves perform the way they do to keep you warm and dry. So out of the two different pairs, I actually far preferred the Markhof version 3s over the Tiden. So the Tiden gloves themselves are rated for that deep winter use, so they do have more insulation and are physically a thicker glove, and the profile of the fingers you will find are a lot thicker. So between the two, the dexterity is one thing that I will talk about that I found a challenge with the Tindens when holding on to a smaller camera, something like the EOS R5, whereas the larger fingers on the Tindens wouldn't fit within the grip. And I'm going to hold on to the camera for a moment and show you what I mean by that. Now moving on to that fact, when you have a look at any of the cameras where they have a narrow little gap between the camera grip, what I found is to get your fingers into that grip holding the camera, it was quite a comfortable fit with the Markhof. But what I found is that that channel on the inside of the grip on the camera with the Tindens, the fingers on the Tiden gloves were just that little bit too thick to get a really good grasp and get your fingers within there. And I'm going to show you that in a moment. Okay, so in comparison, I now have the Tiden pair of gloves on, and you'll see again with that little gap in the camera for your grip, these fingers are so much thicker that it's a tight squeeze to get your fingers in there. I just don't feel like I've got a very firm grip of my camera. It really is not a problem with the larger grips on my R3, so no issue. So if you're using two larger pro cameras with larger grips, or some of the DSLRs which have a larger grip compared to some of the mirrorless, these will be fine if you need the extra warmth. Now you're definitely still holding the camera, but I just don't feel as though I've got as firm a grip when using them. And this, for the primary reason, is why I did prefer using the Markhof version 3s in Antarctica and in general. Now in my experience, I did really prefer the Markhof while shooting in Antarctica. Now keep in mind I was there in February, which is their summer, so if you are going to locations that are far colder, I was only really getting to about -5, -10 on some nights when it was windy and, you know, wind chill factor comes into that. But for a better part, most of the time, it was around 1 degrees, -1, anywhere up to about 2 or 3 degrees on warmer afternoons. So if you are traveling to locations in deep winter where you're getting, you know, -20, -30, think about Norway, Svalbard, Iceland, places in extreme winter cold, you might be far better off reaching for that thicker insulated model in the Tindens. And if it becomes a problem that your grip's too shallow, then I would definitely say that the Markhof would probably do the job in extreme cold conditions, but you really will want to put that merino base layer in between to keep you comfortable. So what you'll see is by having the index finger and thumb outside of the camera, it gives you the ability to move all of your dials and also access all of your menus. So you still have the ability to press on buttons quite easily, and touchscreens work, and all round doesn't get in the road, doesn't become a hazard, or it doesn't become something that becomes frustrating to use. I found in using some gloves in the past where they had touch sensitive fingertips they were still, from a dexterity point of view, quite annoying to use when you're using your camera gear. Now, some other factors to point out are the locations of the zippers. So on the Tiden, the zipper runs down the side of the glove here, where it opens and closes. And it's probably, with gloves on, a little bit harder to open. Now with the Markhof, you'll see that the zipper runs sideways. So I just found it a lot easier to open and close. And on the left-hand side of the glove, there's a cool little tool, and I'm going to show you that right now. So on the left hand, you'll see inside the little zippered section, if you reach inside, there is a small tether with a little key that can be used to tighten tripods and tripod plates. So many times you've been out in the field and you're taking pictures, you've got your camera, things come loose and you're rumbling around looking for a coin inside your wallet. Now you've got the ability just to get in and use the little tool there to tighten up your tripod plates. So again, it's just another sign of the forethinking that Vallerret have put in, and the design team, being passionate photographers themselves, they've put everything into this glove to ensure that it's practical and functional for us photographers. Now we're going to talk about why you would purchase Vallerret over another brand of glove that is on the market. Yes, there are a lot of gloves out there that might use similar materials, that might have the ability to pull back fingertips and things. And what I've generally found with these is just in the design and the craftsmanship. The quality of these things are second to none. You can see that they've put a lot of time and attention into the design process and the manufacturing process on these. All of them are merino wool. Now, why choose merino wool? Now, a big factor when choosing gloves is in the materials. So not only are these leather uppers and completely windproof and waterproof on the outside, but the layer inside, being merino wool, comes with huge benefits. And that is that being a natural fibre, they don't get itchy, they don't get smelly, and they actually are, by nature, antimicrobial, so they won't actually get smelly after a long period of use, and they'll clean up just fine either way. A big factor with merino wool is how it works. So the whole point of merino wool on the inside is the fact that one consideration to put into what makes your hands warm is the fact that they need to be kept dry in order for that to happen. So in cold conditions, the worst thing that can happen is that your hands get wet, clammy and sweaty and have no ability for that moisture to escape the glove. Now what the merino liner will do is it will actually wick that moisture away from the skin, which will keep your skin dry, which in turn will go into the padded layers and evaporate through the glove. So the gloves are designed in a way that it will allow moisture to escape but retain heat, which is how they work. One thing I will discuss is pricing. They're not a cheap pair of gloves, but having used these physically in some very demanding conditions, they didn't fail me once, and I'll give my wholehearted recommendation that these things are the right glove for you. Now, other uses for these gloves, obviously they're made for photographers, but if you're out snowboarding and skiing, for example, also very, very handy because you can access your phone and use your smart devices as well while wearing them. But where I'm looking forward to using these, yes, we've got a short winter season here in Australia, but again, if you are traveling internationally overseas to cold locations, these definitely come into play there. But also moving into the astro season this year, I won't be leaving home without a pair of these gloves on my hands. Now, where can you buy these gloves? You'll see on Vallerret's website, on the link down below here, and in the description of the video, is there aren't a lot of places that physically stock them in Australia anyway. There are international countries that will keep them in stores, but in Australia you actually won't find a location or a camera store as such that keep these physically in stock. What you will need to do is order these online directly from Vallerret's website. They do keep a small amount of stock in Australia, so you won't have to wait as long for international shipping, provided that the gloves are in stock. So for those that are nervous of buying a pair of gloves without physically trying them on and seeing them first, there is a sizing guide on their website. So you can jump into the website, and on the sizing guide will show you the measurements from the back of your hand to the index finger, as well as the width. And I found this perfect. The gloves that turned up for me were absolutely spot on in size. Like most people that want to try a pair of gloves on before ordering them, you might be nervous to order these gloves without physically seeing them first. I can absolutely wholeheartedly recommend the quality of these gloves, so provided you're comfortable in using the sizing chart, knowing that there is a refund and exchange policy and they look after their customers, you really don't have a care in the world when it comes to ordering a pair of these gloves online without physically seeing them first. So these were just two of the gloves in range that they produce, and they do actually make an extended range of gloves for different weather conditions, including some that aren't as terribly cold. All of them have the flip-out fingers with the magnets that hold in place, so they're functional, and the format of these gloves for photographers is second to none. So as far as the quality is concerned, you can't go wrong. As far as the performance is concerned, you can't go wrong. As always, here at the Photography Workshop Co., we love to give back to our followers and community members. So if you're after a pair of these Vallerret gloves, be sure to jump onto our website, thephotographyworkshopco.com, and follow the tabs along to the offers and discount page where you will see an exclusive offer on Vallerret gloves. Thanks so much again for your time and attention. I've been Jay Collier from the Photography Workshop Co. And if you enjoy this content and want to see more of it, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as go to our website, thephotographyworkshopco.com, where you can sign up to the newsletters where you'll receive information on any upcoming offers and promotions, along with workshops and photographic tours in and around Australia and overseas. So thanks again for your time and attention, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon. Cheers.